is counterterrorism and national security expert Mehek Cooke and Democratic strategist Michael Starr Hopkins. Great to see all of you. So, Mehek, let's start with you. I mean, these agitators are organized. They're doing this all over the country. You've seen this before. They're becoming increasingly violent. Just your response to what we're seeing.
Well, Katie, I think it's frightening, and it's a pattern. First, it was the BLM movement, and we had to completely shut down our streets as rioters were burning our streets and our cars. Then you moved to the sanctuary city and protecting illegals. And now what we're seeing is a direct violation of our law. There's one thing about peaceful protest, but these individuals are obstructing justice. And look at that man. He's a working man. Aren't Democrats supposed to stand for working people? That's a snapshot for American frustration because he was not staged. Those protesters were, but he actually showed every single American, I just want to do my job, and you're obstructing. And I don't need to say that I'm making an inference here, but I know for a fact those are Democrat-paid agitators because there's a systematic pattern here to continue to diminish President Trump's efforts to keep Americans safer. They have no plan, so they protest and they lash out like this.
So, Lori, I mean, they're blocking regular working Americans from getting to their jobs, which could have a number of consequences. They're defending the people who are being detained inside this detention center, who are illegal immigrants who are here with crimes like murder, rape, assault, pedophilia, assaults on children, the list goes on and on. Is this really helpful to Democrats in an election year for these agitators to be organized like this? Is this what the average American wants to vote for?
What we just saw was abhorrent. I do not support any of that, and nobody sitting at this table I know does either. And the majority, if not every American, should not as well. But what I am sick and tired of is, I agree with you. I do at this point, that these are staged protesters, because people that I've gone to advocate with and be an advocate and activist for, and you've seen a lot of these No Kings protests and rallies around the country, for the most part, and I'm saying 98%. You don't see that crap happening. We don't advocate for things like that. We don't want to make people's lives more miserable, because this is what happens. You lose your message. The Democrats are starting to win on immigration because of how ICE and DHS has been conducting themselves and murdering innocent civilians, and the American public sees that. And they
murder is a strong term.
Whether or not you agree with that or not, that's what happens.
Murder is a strong term, an illegal term.
They killed
an allegation.
them. They killed them. They're
an allegation that they were
killed.
You
missed your message that you're trying to accomplish, which was, from what I understand, is these people in custody are being mistreated. They are not being fed properly. They are not being given the things that they are legally entitled to. That is what, if that's your message, you just lost it with what you just showed on TV.
Well, yeah, certainly. Michael, it's not peaceful, not just in the actions, but what they were chanting, of course, wanting to shoot cops in the head. We also see that, they are blocking traffic, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Protests aren't meant to make people comfortable, but I think you're absolutely right in the fact that they're losing their message, because what we're not talking about right now is the fact that prisoners' deaths have doubled percentage-wise while in GEO custody. The fact that GEO is one of the biggest donors right now to the Trump administration, and they're building private prisons to put people in them, not to have private prisoners fill. Okay. I think that's probably...
we need to distinguish between... Obviously, everybody needs to be treated with respect and with humanity, but these are not American citizens, Mehek. These are illegal aliens who have come here, committed horrendous crimes, and there are lots of questions that I have about the allegations against ICE and whether they're actually responsible inside of these prisons for these deaths. When people die of pneumonia, for example, it's counted as a police issue or something that is unfairly categorized.
Well,
you shouldn't die of pneumonia.
But my bigger issue is, I want
to, for natural reasons.
Where are the Democrats in terms of rage against the women that have been slaughtered and murdered at the hands of these illegals? It is a myth. It is a lie to publicly state crossing the border is a civil crime. It is a criminal crime. And the minute you commit a crime, and that's the first thing you're doing by entering our country, you should be self-deporting. President Trump gave you and every person an opportunity and a roadmap as Democrats to say, guys, just self-deport. Work with us. We'll find a way through legislation.
But if you respect all life, then you've got to respect all life, both the immigrants who broke the law and the people who died.
You know what they do in other countries to illegals?
But we are better.
And thank God we're in the United States, but that's why they are in facilities with ICE. How are Democrats treating ICE today? First, police officers were terrible. Now it's ICE. Now you see
how are Republicans treating cops and law enforcement, if you want to go there.
Final word, too. We got to run. Lori.
Oh, I was going to say, if we're going to talk about how people are treating one another, we want to talk about how Republicans treat law enforcement and police officers and cops.
It doesn't have to be a Republican.
I think we don't have enough time for that today. But
I know the American public
I'm not
is
sure
smarter
the
than that.
average American is on board with blocking people from getting to work and attacking ICE officers.
We agree. We
Protecting against the release of criminals who have entered the country illegally. But Lori Watkins, Mehek Cooke, Michael Starr Hopkins, great to see you all. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you.